I am talking about the Aerofit device and whether it is sports' best kept secret or if it's just a Bluetooth binky for grown-ups. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Sarah and I make videos about health and fitness and all the things endurance sports, so if that's something that you're into, I hope you'll consider subscribing. Today I am talking about the Aerofit device and whether it is sports' best kept secret or if it's just a Bluetooth binky for grown-ups. Now, in 2020, soon to be 2021, thank God for that, we find ourselves perpetually inundated with targeted advertisements. Thanks Google, thanks social media. Everywhere you turn, you are having an ad shoved right in your face about something that you've probably searched for or even said in the vicinity of your phone. A little bit creepy, but it's also better than just mindless advertisement. You know, advertisement is a necessary evil when it comes to media consumption. Somebody has to pay the bills. We may as well have advertisements in front of us for things that we are interested in rather than those things that we are not. And how would we find out about new devices but for the fact that there are advertisements to tell us about them? So while it's obnoxious, inconvenient, it also can serve a function for us. Now, if you're anything like me and you spend anywhere between 15 and 25%, maybe even more in your case, with your discretionary internet time spent on looking at things in terms of endurance sport and fitness, whether, I'm looking up research papers to find out something new about the fitness industry, or if I'm doing a research for a video, or I am looking for something that I might want to buy for my bike or for running, or if I'm just trying to take in some content from some of my favorite creators here on YouTube or on Instagram, I am constantly being inundated with sports and fitness advertisements because that is one of the highest earning industries for targeted ads. So especially going into the new year, they're everywhere. And in the last 2 to 3 months, I have seen hundreds, if not thousands, of attempts by Aerofit to advertise to me. They have spared no expense in terms of targeted ads, with a very strong presence on Facebook and on Instagram, and banner ads galore wherever I go when I'm browsing just on Google. Now, you have to wonder why they're putting so much money into advertisement, and it's really piqued my interest. I'm being inundated with these ads. What is going on with this product? Now, if you are looking at this video because you're following my channel and you might not know what an Aerofit is, it's basically a resistance breathing trainer. So you use this device over here, this binky for grown-ups, you put it in your mouth and you do guided breath exercises that they're going to feed to you through an app that communicates via Bluetooth to this device. And by following those exercises, the purported benefit is to increase your ventilatory capacity. You're working your inspiratory muscles, so like your intercostal area and your diaphragm, and that's supposed to increase your endurance, your VO2 max, your ability to intake oxygen at a greater capacity and efficiency, and it's purporting a benefit of upwards of 8% of a performance increase. Now that's no small number, and for good reason. It's going to raise an eyebrow for those people who are optimistic and cynical alike. So it really got me interested into looking into the device and what it really has to offer. Now, it's $300. It is certainly an expensive device, and what you're going to find a lot online are people who dismiss products, this one included, based on price, right? So they will talk a product down, they will bash the product on social media or in forums because they don't want to pony up the dough for it, and they don't want anybody else to buy something that they can't have, so they're just going to call something a piece of garbage. That's not what's going on here. I've done the requisite research, and I want to give you more pragmatic appraisal of what's going on with this product and why I'm not going to buy it, and why I'm thinking it might not have the greatest amount of value, or at least not the purported value, if you're going to look into purchasing this as well. Now that brings up the logical dichotomy of whether or not this is the best kept secret in sport, or if this is just hogwash or snake oil. And the truth is, in my appraisal, it's kind of somewhere in the middle. And what do I mean by that? Well, the science behind this product is kind of, tiptoeing along that ethical line. The best word I can use is it's a bit disingenuous. I'm going to link the site down below and the actual research papers that Aerofit has specifically linked to substantiate their product and their claims. And if you look, all but one of those research papers is talking about just integrating breathing exercises in general and the benefits that you can get by using focused breathing. Exercises that have been around for centuries, used by the yogis, the monks, the free divers. These things have been hashed out and proven in science. It has nothing to do with this device here, but realizing that most customers don't really know how to read research papers, it's not a matter of people not being smart enough. It's just if you're not used to this type of technical writing or research writing, you may not know how to navigate the jargon or the nomenclature, and most people have been trained to just read the abstract or the conclusion, and they're not looking at the methodologies in between and realizing that these studies really aren't attributed to something like this device. And the one study that is attributed to the Aerofit device, similar to other device-based studies, it's kind of sponsored by the manufacturer, right? It's trying to point the results in terms of confirmation bias, which again is just a little bit disingenuous. And if you look into the Aerofit specific study and you look at the methodologies, it's a small scale study, and even in the conclusions made by the researchers, they attribute a lot of those gains to the fact that people have just learned how to breathe better, and it may or may not have anything to do with the device itself or the technology within the device. Now, a simple sense check would say, well, you're adding resistance to your breathing, so that should be able to elicit a response, right? It's the difference between pumping your arms up and down and putting weights in your hands. You're going to get more of a stimulus by putting weights in your hand. And when you're looking at a ramp rate to that improvement of that ventilatory capacity, by adding resistance, you're probably going to see a greater benefit. That makes complete sense. But that doesn't mean that this device is uniquely qualified to do that. You could use a straw. You could use the, what is it called, the Power Breathe that has been around for decades that costs 1/10 of the price of something like this, and facilitate the same type of response, just minus the Bluetooth and the gimmicky element of it. And that's what this really is. It's a gimmick. It is conflating correlation with causation. So the device is taking credit for the benefits that you would get simply by doing breathing exercises with some additional resistance. Now, it's giving you the accountability, it's giving you an app that's going to walk you through exercises and show you how to do them, and it's going to log them for you and collect some cursory data so that you'll get that kind of dopamine hit by tracking your workouts and being able to review that information. But that's not going to be responsible for the upwards of 8% increase you're supposed to see. Mind you, that 8% is based on untrained individuals. So you can definitely expect that your mileage is going to vary substantially as somebody who may have already been working your endurance or working in sport for a number of months or even a number of years. But I'm not going to throw a shot at Aerofit specifically because of this. This is just the market that we live in. In 2020, we are conditioned to believe that anything that can be done naturally without any kind of extrinsic factors have less value, right? If you do something naturally, whether it's proper diet or an exercise routine or breathing exercises, it somehow became attributed with this kind of hippie, crunchy, new agey, wearing hemp sandals and not washing your hair type of thing, as opposed to what it is, something that has worked for centuries. And we are more conditioned to purchase the quick fix. What's the pharmaceutical that I can buy that's going to make me feel better? What's going to give me a greater sense of energy? What can I buy? What gimmick, what device is going to give me what I want right now? We are on this treadmill of instant gratification, but it's not as sustainable as if we just did things more naturally, did things more correctly to begin with. And breathing is a prime example of this. Now, there is a lot of science behind breath work. The centuries of the yogis and the monks and the free divers that have been doing this breath work, there's a lot of science to back this up. This isn't just some kind of touchy-feely new age type of idea. And if you're interested in the science of breath, I would actually recommend picking up this book here. It's called Breath by James Nestor. It came out a couple of months ago. He's actually done a number of interviews on very well-esteemed podcasts out there, so you can look those up as well. But this book goes through a lot of the science and history of breathing. In fact, this book was actually 90% larger than it is now. He goes very deep into the science. He's done a pretty robust meta-analysis of the research. He has done his own personal research on location, made himself a guinea pig, has visited different tribes and different cultures to get the information around breath, and has compiled this all into a book. What they ended up doing, the publishers and he had decided to make this a little bit more readable, so it's a very readable book. It doesn't get too deep into the weeds in terms of all the specific data. So what he's done is he's given a very good overview of the science to satisfy, the scientific criticism, and then in the back of the book, he goes through chapter by chapter with an appendix or annotations, and he goes through all of the research and articles that back up the data that he purports in the chapters themselves. So if you are interested in the more nitty-gritty science, that is available to you, and you can do the research above and beyond the book itself. So this is meant to sell you on the idea of breathing through a scientific lens. Now, to be clear, this is not specifically targeted towards athletes. This is targeted towards people in general who are looking to maximize on their health, and they do touch a little bit on on athletic performance, but this book is not specific to athletes. It's something that you can extrapolate to all different hobbies, walks of life, sports included. Now, there's a lot of cool information in this book that you may not know about that I found very interesting in terms of our evolution, our physiology, our biology. They talk about the first world having crowded and crooked teeth, whereas the savage cultures have perfectly straight teeth, and how that's attributed to not only the foods we eat, but the way that we breathe. How the prevalence of mouth breathing in the first world cultures has added to some of our health issues and our biological and physiological issues. There's a very neat factoid in here about the optimum number of breaths per minute for the human, for the maximum consumption of oxygen is actually 5.6 breaths per minute. And the typical human being is somewhere between 12 breaths per minute to 25 breaths per minute, with the average being somewhere around like 18 to 20. And that was interesting because then I can go look into something like the Phoenix watch with the Garmin Connect app, and it actually measures my breaths per minute throughout the day. And I found that when I'm sleeping, I'm between 6 and 9, and when I'm awake, I'm between 10 and 14. So while I'm on the lower end of typical, I'm still almost double what the optimal breath rate is. And he goes through kind of some of the benefits of being able to work breath work into your daily routine. And we're not talking about hours of work that you need to do per day. You don't have to sit in some kind of meditative trance and practice your breathing for 3 hours a day. It's 5 minutes. Focusing on your breath for 5 minutes a day can have profound effects on not only your general health, but I've noticed it in terms of my athletic performance as well. I'm able to just sit at my computer in the morning while I'm going through my emails at work. I set a timer for 5 minutes and I just practice the different types of breathing exercises. They include a number of them in the back of this book here, the last chapter. The audiobook will actually walk you through them and guide you through them, but things like box breathing, circle breathing, 4-7-8 breathing, yogic breathing, a number of different breathing exercises that you can learn and do on your own. I do them while I'm working in something that's not extremely engaging mentally, and I can focus on my breath. And I've noticed that mind-muscle connection between my breathing apparatus and my brain, that carries over into other elements of my life. So when I'm on the bike or I'm on a run and I start to feel that maybe my breath is getting a little bit rapid or out of control, I can regain control mentally. I can slow that down. It brings my heart rate down. It reduces my ventilatory fatigue. It can even affect body temperature. He talks about that in the book as well. You can get some very interesting benefits just by focusing on your breath. And again, I'm not sitting in some kind of drum circle and doing this stuff. This is stuff I'm doing while I'm at work, and it has had a profound benefits. Another anecdotal benefit that I'm not entirely sold on, but it seems to be a pretty strong coincidence, is that I'm one to have suffered from exercise-induced bronchospasm. Some people call it exercise-induced asthma in the past. It's very common amongst athletes, but usually once a month or so, I would have some bout of this EIB where it's pretty bad. If you've ever been caught out with EIB while you're in the middle of a ride, it's kind of like bonking for your lungs, and you have to limp home. It's pretty bad. It can really screw with your heart rate in general, your ability to breathe. Your breathing becomes very shallow. It almost feels like this perpetual need to cough. I actually started carrying around an over-the-counter epinephrine inhaler that has bailed me out a couple of times. And if I don't get it in ride, sometimes I get it after the ride. You get this weird, just kind of this tickle, this impulse to cough, and it's obnoxious. It's not something that's going to kill you. It's just something that's very uncomfortable. And since I've been doing these exercises for the past couple of months, maybe it's just a coincidence and I'm on a good run, but I haven't had one single instance of this EIB since I started doing these breathing exercises. And while I haven't necessarily tracked my data and my performance increases against it, I can tell you anecdotally that my heart rate is lower for the same effort that I had 2 months ago. Some of that is a result of training and increased fitness, but I haven't really increased my volume or my training stimulus in the past 2 months, but I'm continuing to improve. So while I can't scientifically prove it, I'm not going to say that this is a scientific analysis. Anecdotally speaking, by integrating this breath work, I think that it has had an impact on my response to stimulus. So that's just kind of my own experience with this. I'm gonna link this book down below in the description. This is not an affiliate link. I don't get a dime if you buy this. I don't care if you buy it. In fact, don't buy it. Look this stuff up online. Most of this stuff, the breathing exercises and all that stuff, you can find that for free. I'm sure there are a number of YouTube videos that will walk you through guided breath work, a number of articles that you can find that you can get all the basic information on how you can integrate this into your own life without spending a dime. Or if you're gonna buy a device, buy a Power Breathe for 20 to 30 bucks instead of this expensive device for $300. You don't need to spend that much money on it. Use a straw. You can get that for free at a restaurant. Whatever you wanna do, but you don't have to spend any money to to get these same performance gains. Let's put it this way. These are touting 8% increase, right? And that's on the high end, and that's based on untrained athletes. If this was going to even give you a 1% marginal gain over something that you could do without this device, don't you think that every international pro cyclist in the world or pro runner in the world would have one of these hanging out of their mouths? Team Ineos in cycling, they are known for marginal gains. They will take on anything that is scientifically backed to give them even the smallest gains, and they stack those all on one another. This company would have Team Ineos plastered all over their website if that team thought that this had any scientific merit. The reality is they're able to get the same benefits by just doing kind of the common sense approach and working their breath both on and off the bike. And the same applies to other sport. Listen, if you've already purchased this device, I'm not trying to give you a shot, and if you still think that you want to purchase the device, that's completely fair. The point of this video is to just give you the data and the facts behind how this device works. You know, if you're thinking, oh, 8%, that's a lot of gains to leave on the table, but 2020 is a rough year, $300 is a lot of money, I don't know if I want to part with that kind of money. You don't need it. It's completely unnecessary. If you want to spend money, spend $15 on a book, or spend 20 or $30 on a power breathe if you really want that feed forward with a nice resistance device, which will certainly take that ramp rate and speed it up more than just trying to do non-resistance exercises over time. That's just common sense, right? But don't spend $300 on a device that you don't need. If you really want the accountability, that's where this thing has value. If you want an app to just tell you when and where and how exactly to do these exercises, and you know that if you have $300 tied up in this device, it's going to keep you adherent to it, and you've got that reminder, and you have that accountability, and you have that convenience factor, then it could be 100% worth the $300 for you. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying that it does nothing. What I'm saying is that it's not doing what it's telling you that it is. The device itself is not giving you the benefit. It's the exercises. I would have liked to have seen this marketed differently. If it was me, I would sell the device for a nominal cost, maybe $40 or $50 with the Bluetooth integration and the data, and then charged a monthly subscriber fee to the app. I know we have subscriptions coming out of our asses, but the reality is I think that people would get more value and realize, if I'm paying $3, $4, $5 a month for this app that's going to give me the workouts, I have to go to one location. I don't have to look something up on YouTube or look something up online. I've got this device and it's going to track my data for me, and I'm going to get that dopamine cycle going. And yes, here's my checkbox. I did my exercise for the day, and I'm going to get the benefit of doing the breathing exercises. That's 100% worth it to me. But I just think, again, it's disingenuous. They're advertising this device as the end-all, be-all of performance in terms of breathing, and it's not the device, it's the breathing exercises. But I hope you found this information helpful. I'm by no means trying to discourage anybody or shame anybody out of buying this, or if you've already purchased this. There's value in it for some people. I just want you guys to understand and make an educated decision as to whether or not this is worth your hard-earned money, and whether or not you are going to get the benefits that it's actually telling you that it's giving you. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, please leave them down below. If you got any value out of this video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that thumbs up button. It really does help this channel and the video out quite a bit. If you're looking for more videos about a kind of training and physiology, you could take a look at these two here. Subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, I will catch you guys in the next one. See ya.